Hey you guys, what's going on? It's Blue and we are back with another video. First thing I want to do is apologize, you guys. I should have put this video out a lot sooner. I went ahead and I was really excited about the build. I think we're all really excited that we got some good vendor stuffs with strike through this week, and I just kind of went ahead, figured out what we need to be doing, and then I just left you guys high and dry, and I apologize about that. So this one's going to be really quickly. You got one day, less than one day to buy what you need. If you don't have it, sorry, that's my bad, you guys. There's always, next couple weeks where you can get it and just really get the stuff you want. But this video is just going to be about the stats. If you watched my last video, you guys are going to be in perfect quality. You guys are going to know what to do already. These are for people that probably, watched the video, weren't really sure about it, had some questions. I know a lot in the feral community. You guys run crit mastery, so it is really difficult to switch from crit mastery to crit versatility. And I understand that. It's a big leap of faith. So I got the gear together. I got everything you need together perfectly. Almost BIS stats on everything. So you guys, I'm going to show you my sims. We're going to walk through the sims so you see what you need to be doing, right? So let's just jump into the video really quickly and just go over the gear. So I do have my best Azurite traits. Jungle Fury, Heart of Darkness with the head and the chest. These are our best ones, and then the Wild Fleshring Blightborn Infusion. These are the best you can do. Single target, as well as AoE. It's a really decent AoE. If you can get the Raw Den Helmet on AoE, it's a really small increase if you go, instead of Heart of Darkness, if you go Wild Flesh Rending. We'll go ahead and see that in the Sims. It's a really decent, it's just a really small amount, but it is. So with that aside, we do want to be going Critical Strike Versatility with 4 strike throughs, you guys. I know a lot of people in the Feral Discords, they kind of went ahead and said, hey, Severe is really strong. The thing that a lot of people, I think, misunderstood is if you guys are putting the correct gear in place, you don't value as much as critical strike. Every time you increase your critical strike, so I'm 44% right here. I actually have the weapon that increases my critical strike deadly navigation. Really good. I prefer that one. As well as a lot of critical strike sockets, and as well as food. This is going to increase by a lot, right? And then if I go ahead and Tiger's Fury here, we're looking at 72%, 67.5%, right? So this is a lot of critical strike, right? You're not gonna value much more by continually just stacking critical strike. So what you want to do is you want to make it so critical strike is your main source of stats, and you do that by pumping the strike throughs in there. The more strike throughs you put, obviously, the more Sims is going to be like, oh, well, you need crit, and that's what I want. So the value that ended up being perfect for me is 4. 4 strike throughs made critical strike really strong. I think if I go over 4, if I do 5, I'm not going to have the critical strike that I need. This is a perfect balance for me. And if you're wondering, the current build that I have is 4 strike throughs, and this is one I'd recommend. 1 severe rank 3, which is on the 460 piece, not the best, but it's so strong, right? And then I have a severe, whatever the 6% is. It's 10 corruption. So whatever rank that is, we're at 55. This is going to get me into next week, which I still can't increase this to rank 3 because I don't want to be over the certain amount. So when next week comes, I'm going to buy a severe rank 3. I'm going to put this on a better piece of gear, 475 with crit verse. Now, let's go ahead and look into the Sims and talk about why I'm telling you to run critical strike versatility. So we'll go ahead and take a look at those now. Okay, so if we can see here on the screen, I'm going to go ahead and take my video away. Okay, perfect. So we can see here. So this is Sim exactly single target. I know a lot of us probably didn't run Blood of the Enemy single target, in our minor. You do want to do that because critical strike is so strong, you guys. Now, so we're at 97.7k. This is decent. I was around 94k with just random corruptions, mostly the tentacle spawn one. The thing about tentacle spawn, when it happens, it can just pump some damage, right, if it keeps on occurring, or it may not happen at all in fights and it just really tanks. So this is really good. This is going to increase my damage, and I don't have to worry at all about any RNG. So this is just great. Now, something you're going to see here, I told you to run critical strike versatility. Now, why did I do that when your sim is saying, hey, mastery? The thing about that is this is a big bite build. We know that because of our Azurite traits. We're leaning away from Wild Flush Running and more into Heart of the Darkness, which is just stats, raw stats, right? So this is going to be more of just like, well, my shreds aren't doing as much damage. I'm relying more on Brutal Slash, which still, since it's on a cooldown, it's not going to be a lot of my damage source, where I'm more dependent on bites. And that's fine, because with Strike Through, if I get a big bite with a critical strike, since it's such a huge number, I'm getting more value out of that critical strike increase, right? Versus Thrash, that's critical strike. Thrash does 0 damage, so a critical strike of 0 damage is also 0, right? We're not getting as many values. So with the Strike Through, we're getting more value on bigger hits, okay? So this is saying, hey, you know, I noticed that a lot of your damage with the Strike Throughs, we're getting a lot more to it with our bites. So yeah, I'm going to tell you to pump a little bit of Mastery in there. So because Mastery increases your bite damage. So you guys are saying, well, Blue, whoa, 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 you told me to run Critical Strike Versatility. Why am I not running Crit Mastery? Right? And that's a valid point. So I want to go ahead and show you. So in my gear, I didn't change up any of my gear, but I have a lot of sockets here, you guys, so you can tell. So what happens when instead of socketing Critical Strike, I socket Mastery here, because obviously Mastery is my best. We want to pump as much single target as we can. So I went ahead and here, this one is with a whole bunch of Mastery sockets. I believe the value is around 350. One of these I forgot to socket right here in my pants. Okay, but we see here we have a change, 97.5 versus 97.7. So this is telling you, do not go Critical Strike Versatility. This is just saying, hey, you guys, a little bit of Mastery is decent. It's going to really help you get that extra bite in there. I would say, hey, a few Mastery is good. Now, what I would suggest is this is just an easy solution. If you are able to progress really well onto Carapace, right here, best legs in the game, a lot of critical strike, 100 mastery. I did 350 and we went over the value a little bit much. These will be perfect for you guys, okay? Even my Sims is saying patchwork, 14%, really great here. That's enough. 100 is enough. Now, the reason I don't want you guys going mastery here also, let's take a look at this again. Now, what if I look at AoE situations? Okay, we can tell this is a total dungeon build because we're running Predator. Sometimes we're not running Predator in dungeons, but this one's just say, hey, complete dungeons. Now, what are we looking at? We're obviously going Reaping, you guys. You need to be going Reaping in dungeons. I went ahead and put us a video about that. If you're not doing that, you're missing out on a lot of damage. And the fun thing about Reaping, a lot of awesome things you can do that you guys are just going to love. This is a really skilled ability, and there's so many powerful things you can do with it. In your dungeons, and I'll just let you guys find that out, but it's really going to increase your damage by a lot. Now, the big thing to look at here is my stats have changed. Instead of mastery, and these are with the crit gems, by the way, instead of mastery, I am crit versatility. So in dungeons, you don't really care too much about mastery. Your reps are going to be doing a lot of damage, but crit and versatility are the way to go. Now, obviously, in raids, there are AoE fights. Like Carapace, like the last boss, we are going to be wanting to run AoE builds. Obviously not Predator. You don't want to go that AoE. You still want single, so we're going to have Sabretooth here. But the idea here is crit versatility is valued more than mastery. Now, we remember at the very beginning, mastery, we just want a little bit. So the reason I'm telling you to run crit versatility is this is going to be the best value you can get out of both AoE and single target. And honestly, if you just wanted to pump up your single target damage by the best that you can, I would just bring like 2-3 sockets of mastery, go ahead and put it in for a single target fight. AoE target fight, go ahead and change those out for AoE. Now, I know a lot of people don't think about switching up their sockets to do that. We never had to worry about that with Feral in the past. In my server, I put 75 mastery gems, 75 critical strike gems, and we're talking about 3K. Obviously, it's server dependent, but it's not really that big of a deal. I'm not going to do that. It's really not that big of a deal for me to get like a couple hundred, maybe like 1,000 that we're talking about extra damage. It's just not worth it to me. I'm going to keep my crit versatility. So this is here now in my build. What's up, Elijah? One second. I'm doing a video. We'll be done in 5 minutes. Okay, I'll be out in a second. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and take a look. We're going to change up our build. I do not have the Raw Din helmet, okay? Unfortunately, we downed Raw Din, did not drop for me, and we are probably, in my guild, we're probably not going to kill Raw Din again, unfortunately, because we want to keep the lockout and progress on the last two bosses, hopefully get that completed. But now, to me, I said, hey, what happens if instead of going, my Heart of Darkness Jungle Fury build, if I do Wild Flesh Ring Jungle Fury build, what kind of damage are we looking at? Because I really like the Wild Flesh Ring aspect of the build. What are we looking at single target? So 96.8 versus 97.7. So it's about a K difference in single targets. So it's a little bit weaker, but in AoE, we have a little bit stronger. That makes sense to me. So pretty much what we're missing out on is the Heart of Darkness, the stats. Oh, I should stop 1 second. Is the stats, but we're getting a lot more swipe damage. We're getting a stronger shred damage. And so it's like 15.9 versus, 15 just in general, right? So it's almost a K difference. I think this is going to be really big. And then in single target fights, it's almost going to be negligible with, your single targets. Your single targets are going to be a little bit less on those boss fights on those ones, but you're going to make for it up and add damage, which the add damage aspect of it is going to be usually, even if it's like a week where the bosses are, tyrannical or whatever, its add damage is still always going to overpower it. Now, of course, I did want to go ahead and include one more sim here. And this is the Incarn build, okay? This is the Incarn build, obviously, with the Raw Din helmet. If you cannot get the Raw Din helmet, I have this on a 465 version, so I want to see what it is with the upgraded version here. We're looking at 92.7, or let's say almost 93k DPS on single target on a 5-minute fight versus 97. So we're talking about, 5k difference single target. Now, you guys, this is going to be the best build. This is going to be the parsing build. What I want you to understand is with my sims here, I had to sim this as if I don't have the helmet, because I don't. Now, since I don't have the helmet, I cannot tell you my stats. I already know with my build that my stats are crazy terrible. These are the worst stats for the Incarn build. I do not want to be anywhere near 67.5 critical strike for the Incarn build, right? We know that we want to be somewhere around 50% with the Incarn build with my shreds, just increasing damage. That's where we want to be. We want to pump the rest of our stats in haste and versatility, okay? So with that said, you guys, this Incarn build that I have here, 92, we'll say 93k, 5k off this. This is actually really good sim information for a 5-minute fight. You should not be using the Incarn build on a fight that's 5 minutes. And even when I high parse this last patch, you guys, I blew out a lot of the parses out of the water with the Incarn build. Nobody was doing it. This kind of came out of nowhere. I always simmed, so you're aware, I always simmed less damage than the standard build that everybody was parsing really high with. I always simmed more, but when I went into the encounter, it performed extremely well, better than what the sims was showing. So this is, and just so we are fully clear on this, the Incarn build is viable for strike throughs, but it's going to be the parsing build, but this expansion, this raid expansion, there are so many AoE fights, I'm probably never going to run the Incarn build, okay? Corruption is so expensive, I'm almost done farming all my echoes. I'm done. After that, I'm completely done. I am not going to make another set just so I can parse 100% on Vex, just so I can parse 100% on Mott. That would be the way to do it if you're interested, but I still need to focus on the last two bosses. So these are what I'm looking at. Now, you can make the Incarn build really viable and really fun. This is going to give you the 100% parse that you need, unless you want to just go a whole bunch of the tentacles and do 10 pulls in order to get you that 100% parse, because that's what you're going to need because it's so RNG. This is probably the way that you're going to do it with your optimized stats, which means different gear, haste, versatility gear. You have to figure out what you need for crit wise. You're going to need the Ashfane Razor Coral Trinket. This is what's going to keep you at 50% when your Tiger's Fury comes off, because obviously the Incarn, the Berserk timer is pretty long, so you want that 100% crit for the entire time, where Jungle Fury doesn't last as much. But that's it, you guys. I really hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching. Again, sorry it's coming out so late, but that's it for me, you guys. Take it easy. Peace.